Hello and welcome back. This is the What's on Your Mind podcast. I'm your host, Olillo.
And I'm your host, Nassim.
So, as you're aware, this month, September, is International Suicide Awareness Month. And the 10th of September was now the Suicide Awareness Prevention Day. Yeah. Theme for this year has been changing the narrative on suicide.
Agreed.
And I think it's a topic that we should delve into, especially considering in this day and age, we're having a lot of these cases, a lot of suicide ideation, a lot of death by suicide. People have really been giving into the pressure of how things are. Maybe things are not working. So there's been a lot of cases where people have chosen to seek that route to at least numb the pain. And I think statistics prove that, show that about 700,000 people annually across the globe die by suicide, and men are leading on that chart. So I don't know what cases you've come across with regards to suicide, and is it something that has affected you personally as well?
I feel like matters suicide is one of those hush conversations that society, in the past, we've always had. You don't want to bring it in the limelight. It's spoken in closed doors and everything.
Behind closed doors.
Yes. So, first things first, I feel like with this changing the narrative theme and everything, it's a way of changing that. The whole, societal norms and perceptions when it comes to suicide. On the statistics, the numbers that were given, I want to run you a scenario.
Yes.
So you can see the numbers might be more than what has been stated.
Okay.
Let's say someone decides to not use the footbridge and just cross the road.
Yes.
So that statistic will be accident. It will be taken as suicide statistics.
Okay.
If someone decides to drown, it will be an accident. The guy went for swimming and it was an accident. So when you look at statistics in that perspective, you realize the numbers might be way more than we actually thought.
There's more to it that meets the eye.
Yes, exactly. And on the statistics too, I don't know if you knew this, but like you said, more men die by suicide, but more women have suicidal ideations or have been reported to have suicidal ideation.
Okay.
So you wonder, where was the crossover? Because if more women have reported to have cases of suicidal ideation, then how does it turn out to be that more men
actually
die?
See it through.
Yes, die by suicide. And I'm hoping that is a conversation that we'll get to have, in this podcast and maybe shed the light. But before we even get to all that, I would want to hear from you. Why do you think more men die by suicide?
I think more men die by suicide because one of the reasons is societal pressure and societal norms. Generally, as a man growing up, you're raised and socialized to believe that you're strong, which in essence is true. But I think now the perspective on what strength is, or the ideologies around strength, the philosophy around being strong is a bit off, because now in that strength, especially if you consider like African society is, a man should not show emotion. So men generally struggle with that. Yes, they struggle with that vulnerability. So you'll find a man is going through it. He's, deep in it. And you'll ask him, and he'll be like, I'm fine. Have you ever asked, a quick question, as a lady, have you ever asked a man, like you've been talking to this guy, and you notice the vibe is a bit off. He's not okay. But you'll ask him, are you okay?
And the answer is always, yes, I'm fine.
Yes.
And my reply to that always is, no, how are you really doing? Like, you get, because I feel like we need to have follow-ups on those, I'm fine, I'm okay. Because I've also done that before, whereby I know I've had, excuse my language, I've had a very shitty week or a very shitty month, and I feel like I'm drowning. And every time someone asks me how you, I feel like it just comes.
It's a very natural response.
Yes. So I'm like, yeah, I'm fine and everything. But deep down, I'm like, just follow up and just ask how you're really doing, so that I can actually vent. And, I get that.
Yeah, and you'll find more often than not, in fact, if they go beyond that, they'll be like, yes, I'm okay. Why? They'll need to establish the why. Why are you asking?
What have you noticed?
What has prompted you to ask? So if it's something that is noticeable, then I can figure out how to mask it a bit better.
Oh, okay.
Yeah? So that I do not give off that energy. And even when you follow up, it doesn't seem genuine. It seems like, hey, you're prying too much. You're getting too much into my space. And the general feeling is usually, or the general expectation is usually, unauliza ndio ufanye. What solutions are you going to offer? Because he's here, it's the 4th of the month. Ana do anaangalia kwa mfuko, ako na 50 bob. Kesho landlord atakuja kumgongea mlango. Madhe amempigia akiwa Ocha, anamwambia, ng'ombe ilimeza fungo yangu ya nini? Ya gate, I cannot access the house. We need to, find msewa welding akuja nini, na mtu mwingine akuja achinje hii ng'ombe. So those are 2 losses. I need money to replace the cow and replace the lock. All those,
too much pressure.
There's just so much going on.
Coming to you all at once.
So he feels like he's just engulfed in this cloud of problems. And men generally are raised to be solution providers. That's why, as a lady, if you speak to me, if I notice you're not okay, or you come and tell me I'm not okay, you're probably looking for someone to just listen to you. And
just rant and vent, or side with me.
Yeah, someone to just sit there. But the moment you tell me your problems, automatically, I'm like, okay, so she's going through this. So how do I come up with a solution to her problems? Because that's how I am generally wired to think. So my first instinct is I need to provide solutions for you. So if I'm not able to provide solutions, then again, it goes to frustrate me.
So you act as a sponge now.
Yes. So I'm absorbing so much, and I have very few avenues to let it out. That's why most men will find unhealthy avenues. We'll go and sit in a bar. Guys will drink, drown your sorrows. And you see now, alcohol will remove those inhibitions. So that's why sometimes you find men will consider bartenders like their therapists. Because now he will sit there, the alcohol will remove his inhibitions, and any man who's willing to listen to him, now is when he will pour himself out. So that's when he gets a chance to release that, which in essence is a very unhealthy route, because also you can also get caught in that rabbit hole of thought.
Yeah.
Yes, an addiction. And the same way it removes the inhibitions from you now, like bottling up. It also removes inhibitions from you now also having different kinds of ideas.
Or rational things.
Or rationalizing things. So you find yourself now when the pressure now becomes overwhelming, now you start to seek alternative exits. Yes, so I feel that's where men are.
I like that. You've covered almost everything that that's there to do with, why the numbers are the way they are. There's something I wanted to ask, from a therapist's point of view. Do you feel like most men don't seek therapy because they feel like it's not more of solution based? Because I realized when I was starting, I used to have clients that are male, and then they would abscond therapy before the treatment is over.
It's over. Yes.
We do like 2 or 3 sessions and then they're done. Because now you see how therapy works mainly is the first few sessions are normally talk therapy.
Yes.
I listen to, what the issue is. There's something we call a chief complaint. A chief complaint is why now? Why did you decide to come for therapy? Now, I'll give an example. You've been drinking for 10 years.
Yes.
So what made you decide today is the day I'm going for therapy? In that case, when I was saying, oh, I almost lost my job because I got too high. I couldn't make it to work and everything. So that's the whole process. The first few days, it's just talk therapy.
Okay.
But then later on, I came to realize during this process of talk therapy, they're talking to find solutions. So for me, I'm listening to come up with a treatment plan that we can follow through after, I've understood where the issue is. So you find they quit before even you've given a treatment plan for the session. So nowadays, what I do with my male clients, I have a very different approach of therapy when it comes to male and female.
Yes.
So with my male clients, we will do talk therapy, but we will do it on solution-based. So let's say, for instance, you find someone comes and tells you, oh, I've been stressed and everything. The reason behind this is job, nimefutwa job and whatnot. So our solution-based from there, like the treatment plan starts immediately, whereby I ask them, what's your contingency plan?
Yes.
What are you looking for jobs? Are you doing this and that? So as much as we're talking, we are also finding solutions around whatever it is that they're saying. And I realized with that, I find
you have a higher retention rate.
Yes, they stick through therapy and everything. So I feel like most of the time, that's what I personally believe in terms of communication. That's one of the mismatch where the mismatch is, whereby they feel like nakuja tu kuongea, I don't have solutions.
Yes, I agree. And now also coming from a place where I have been through similar. Now speaking as someone who's had suicidal thoughts and gone ahead to even making attempts and surviving through them. So just, okay, I've had 3 attempts. 2 that actually went through and survived through it. 1 that I was rescued at the brink of it. And it becomes difficult because sometimes even the people around you can more or less offer that therapy. Because now, take for example, if I've lost my job, I'm not able to meet my obligations. Money is not coming in. The moment I think of therapy, I'm thinking of
money.
This is another cost. Yeah, I already know it's not going to be a 1 session thing. So I'm considering I have to see this through for a number of weeks. Where are these resources coming from? Yeah, and sometimes you'll find men will find, not just men actually, people will find different means of sending an SOS. Because like for me, not very many people knew the place that I was at. But there were signs. And until, that final time and now that's just like someone like me who will have that a red light. There are some people who they will give micro signs, and then when nobody picks up on the signal, then they will now just go ahead and be like, because you often feel like everything that you have attempted is really not working. So I think there's that. There's considering also. That's why also sometimes I'm assuming that they're looking for solutions early on, because depending on the situation that they're in, I do not want to commit to something that will end up feeling like it's also contributing to the problem. Yeah. So like for me actually, at the point when I got help, I actually got it from a friend, a long-time friend who we may not have been like keeping close contact with, but they picked up on it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was interesting that I actually just put up a tweet. And of course, there were people who reached out and were like, hey, what's wrong? Are you okay? Is everything okay? So there's the people who will respond in panic. And sometimes that's also not sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
Because also you get to that place where you're thinking, oh, so now I have your attention. All this other time, I have been in this space. It's basically like, for me, I consider it like quicksand, where you're sinking slowly and you're really reaching out for help. And it's like people are seeing you, but like the modern day era, watu wanatoa simu, guys are taking photos, because I've had stories that have been shared about me behind my back by people I trusted. I trusted enough to, open up to and let them know what's going on in my life. There's a time I was like so deep in alcohol, and it's something that before I used to be able to manage. I could go into a bar, I could have a few drinks, and still live when I'm able to rationalize things. I'm able to think through and know, here I'm okay enough to leave. And then in such a brief moment, it shifted to, I have no control. I am, ni kulewa. Where you're now blacking out, you're losing things, you're losing memory. And people noticed, and they're like, are you okay? Like they could notice something has changed, but there was really no one to take that active step to now follow through and see what is the underlying reason. Then they're just like, umsana kunywa sana siku hizi. Yeah? And then there's also the enablers who, I can assure you, about 90% of that time, I was barely spending a shilling of my own money. Labda to transport.
People would,
So I just know there are people who would look for me. There are people who would be like, hey, come through. I'm like, say, Sinado. Like, itisha uban, hey, usijali, we come to. But 2 days after that, if I tell you, hey, bro, niaje, sina food mtaani. So niskumeka punch. Hey, excuses from here to Timbuktu. And I'm like, but Friday, utanitafuta, unitoe. So you see, it was an enabling environment where people do not want to see you get out of the problem.
Bruh.
And I'm sure, had I now succumbed to it, mazishi yangu iko imejaa. Watu wangekuwa wakipost screenshots. Hey, I just spoke to this guy the other day. Oh, we're meant to meet up. Oh, nini. And all those sub stories. For what? So I think also it starts with the mind shift. We ourselves need to change our mindset. Yeah? To actually be genuine enough with each other. Where now, let's not create an enabling environment. Because then where's the authenticity in that? I'm your friend. I may not be able to help you financially. But Nassim, if I notice you're not okay. There are times you and I have sat down, even back in campus, and we've spoken. Anytime, if I'm your friend and I notice you're not okay, I'm like, hey, let's sit down. What is it you're going through? I'll ask you, how can I be of assistance? I'd rather tell you where my position is. Like right now, I know I do not have money. But what else can I do for you?
How else can
I come through for you? You see, at least that still communicates, I care about you.
And I'm here for you.
I am here for you. I may not have all the solutions, but I am willing to travel this journey with you to find a working solution. Because even the guy who actually helped me through, now, this is one time, I don't know whether I should go into details, but so now he helped me when he noticed, and he was like, how can I help you? Because I was home alone, the usual, you struggle to wake up. I'd be awake. I would sleep for like 3 hours. My curtains are consistently off. I'm barely doing anything. I'm barely going outside. People aren't seeing me. I'm committing to jobs and not showing up. Clients are calling me. I don't even have the strength to go. And he was like, how can I show up for you? So every single day, this guy committed to checking up on me and following up. He'd be like, I said, on text, he would inbox me. He's like, hey, how are you today? What time did you wake up? Simple things, very simple gestures. Were you able to get out of bed? Because at times I would wake up and I don't leave the bed. Were you able to get out of bed? Were you able to open the curtains? And it was progressive. Have you been able to have a meal today? Slowly. Did you get out today? Encouraging me, just get out, get some sun. Even if it's sitting outside your door. Sit outside for 5 minutes. Go outside, take a walk. And it was very progressive. Over a period of, I think, 3 months, he followed up and he was consistent. Until I was able to get back on my feet. So today, were you able to get a client? Did you actually fulfill your order? Did you send it out? Good. Tomorrow, again. Market, brand yourself. Slowly. And it helped me immensely. Because now people are telling me, hey, therapy. You're reaching out to therapists.
It's money.
It's money. So it becomes very difficult. So I think even for us, we can also offer our own therapy in our own very unique way. Because as much as fine, I've come to you, I've come for therapy. But there's also some reinforcement that needs to be done. If I'm coming to you for therapy and I'm still going back to the same toxic environment, then, it's like those math equations of tap A can fill a tank in 80 minutes, while tap B is draining it in 12 minutes. How long will the tank take to get full? So I think it starts from now mindset shift, and I really appreciate the theme for this year. Changing the narrative, because also the narrative starts with us.
Agreed.
So like, I don't know what you've encountered, but do you think that we have made any progress in terms of even how we view suicide, or how society views suicide? I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
When it comes, first of all, I feel like you sharing that is...
Okay, to start.
Yes.
I almost cried.
So I'm glad you've got through it. You got the help that you needed. I'm glad that friend was there and understood. Because most of the time, like I said, most people feel like showing up means money, means, a lot of things. But showing up can just be like, I'm just checking up on you. Just that accountability buddy. Were you able to take a shower? Were you able to do this? One thing people need to understand when it comes to suicide is the leading causes. There's so many other causes. You've mentioned them: finances, societal, expectations and all that. One of the two main leading causes to suicide is isolation and feeling like a burden.
Yes.
And the only time people feel you feel isolated from people that are close to you.
Yes.
You feel like a burden from people that are close to you. So what does that say really about, your environment and everything?
Yep.
You'll find, and that's why you find it's so easy for people to open up to strangers.
Yes.
Bartenders, watchmen, and everything, because the people in their circle or the people that are closest to them are not offering that safe space that someone needs. And I'm glad you got to get a safe space, even if it was from a distant friend.
Yes.
And I feel like that's the narrative we really need to change.
And I really admire that, because now you see it also just reinforced that feeling of the quality of friendship that we've had. Because yes, all in all, like, time and circumstances may have put us a bit apart in terms of even just being able to meet or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But all along, I always knew that this is a friend.
And every time I have a conversation around suicidal ideations and, you know, suicide and everything, I always remind people there are certain do's and don'ts you should, you know, pay attention to. Think about your mom, think about your kids. Don't you think this person has, you know, played all considered all that? So, and it comes off very insensitive.
Yeah.
You know, and I really do hope that it's about time that when you have a conversation with someone that is telling you, you know, some people think they're helping because they feel like if I remind you of what you have loved and everything, you will snap out of it. You know, and it's not like that. I feel like people need to understand one thing is anyone that has had suicidal ideations, anyone that has attempted suicide before and everything, this person literally is fighting day and night to stay alive.
Yeah, but because that's the truth.
It is true.
Go on.
No,
because genuinely, anyone who knows me, especially like when it comes to my kids, I love them literally to death. I would fight to the death for them. But when it gets to that point where I can consider this, you know, I'm probably thinking, why am I even here? Like, what value am I adding to their lives? You know? So it's a place where someone has really gone through it. Like, they've gone through the motions. They've thought of every possible scenario. Because, like, for me, as a recovering overthinker, I have thought of, you know, all the possible alternate realities of what could be. So by the time you're coming to tell me, hey, you know, you're being weak, you're being a sissy for choosing this, you know, stay and fight through. How hard do you think I have been fighting? How much energy do you think I have expelled? Because, you know, someone sees you and they're like, and they consider that, oh, you're being lazy, you're just sitting around. And it gets to a point where you're so overwhelmed, you've done nothing, but you feel physically and emotionally tired.
Agreed.
Where you're drained of all your virtue, you can't even think straight.
I feel like when it comes to anything, psychological issue and everything, it's very hard. It's so easy to say I have a toothache. It's so easy to say I broke my leg because people can see it.
Yes.
People will, you know, send you flowers, send you soups because wanona. But when it comes to psychological pain, it's even hard to explain it.
Yeah.
You know? And I feel like those are the worst kind of pains that anyone can ever experience. And then to top it off, you find now that your brain, your mind is working against you. Your thoughts are working against you. So you feel like you have all the reasons. Despite how much you're trying to fight, it feels like you're fighting a losing battle. And I feel like people such conversations really need to be had, because that's what changes the narrative when it comes to, you know, suicidal ideations. And I feel like this is one of I remember the first time I did a TV interview.
Yep.
They asked me why we started Hugs.
Yes.
That was back in 2019.
Okay.
Hugs, when it started, Hugs started as a suicide awareness. Yes, and that's why our colors are yellow and green. It was supposed to be a suicide awareness organization and depression. So yellow is for suicide awareness, green was for depression. Yes. So I remember in 2018, we had just graduated. I was staying, back then a lot had happened, and I was staying with a friend.
Okay.
And we used to have a group of friends. We used to call ourselves Visasa. So we had this WhatsApp group and everything. And I remember, I'm giving you the backstory. I remember back then, one of the parents got sick, and people were changaring
to help.
to help.
Assist to
So in this
medical.
process, the guy that was supposed to take the money was a neighbor to the family or a close friend
A
or
close
something.
friend, yes.
So for him, he was also going through something. So
Okay.
they had changared, I think, around maybe 300 or something.
Yes.
And he went and talked to now the mom
Yes.
and was like, can I just take 50K from this?
Yes.
In the amount yenye imechangwa, can I just take 50K?
And
I'm
sort out
really
yeah.
sort something out. Once I'm done, nitakurudishia. And the mom agreed.
Yes.
You know, I think it reached even a point where she was like, you know what, don't even bring it back. We can find a way to you know.
Yeah. To recover.
And I don't know what happened. It came back now to the group.
Yes.
And those people constantly bullied him.
Oh no.
You know, I remember he was driving. He looked like, we
like
have this
he
notion.
He had it all put together.
So people are like, mbono kuza gari, upatio. You get like, it was very, very bad. And I remember on that weekend, we had met up for, I think it was a cookout.
Yes.
The guy was bubbly. He was, all over
Very
the place. Excited.
Yes.
He was the DJ of the day and everything.
Yes.
I think we met up, on a Friday.
Yep.
And then on Sunday, we got the news.
Oh, no.
He died. He took his own life.
Yes.
And that thing really pissed me off. Because immediately after people had that, people already now starting to changa for now matanga. Some would call it road trip to up country and everything. Do you know people changad almost 3 point something? Yet the only money he had taken was 50K. You bullied him because of 50K. And now you've changad 3M.
Way more than even what he
and
needed.
That didn't make sense to me. At that particular moment, I felt guilty.
And I can assure you, a good number of the people who contributed to his cause.
Personally, I didn't feel guilt. I felt guilty because I felt, as a therapist, I should have noticed.
You should have noticed.
I should have noticed the signs. I should have known, the constant. Because even when people were bullying him and everything, he was just laughing, haha, wasichezeni chini nitarudisha do, and all that. And I felt I should have seen something. So I felt so guilty from a professional point of view. And that was when I had just started, practicing. After uni and everything. And that's when I decided, you know what, I really need to start something to help out on matters awareness. And speaking of stages, I don't know if you knew this, but suicide has stages. There are like 3 stages to suicide.
I was not aware.
Yes. There's the ideation stage.
Yes.
And interesting enough, the ideation stage can even last years, 20 years, 10 years.
Yes.
Whereby something happens. Before I talk about the ideation stage, in that ideation stage, there are 2 types of ideations. There's the passive and there's the active. And I remember we mentioned this before. Passive nile, time has gotten so rough. For a split second, you feel like
it'll cross my mind.
Yes.
And then
now there's the active ideation. So what happens is, if the passive ideation has happened, let's say twice or thrice, you've had this situation whereby life has gotten hard, and your go-to thought is always, it would be better off if I'm not around. And you don't follow through that. You don't ask questions and everything. It transitions into the active. And now this is where the ideation stage of suicide begins.
Yes.
But it's just a thought. So every time you hit a rough patch, every time things seem like they're not working out, that's it. And also, when I'm talking about the stages, I'd also like to talk about the risk factors. Some of the biggest risk factors to suicidal ideations is mood disorders. You've been diagnosed before with bipolar, you've diagnosed before with, depression and all those mood disorders. So it means high chances you are at that risk factor. So every time any small inconvenience, you follow through that. And then from there, you have the planning stage. Under the planning stage, this is when now you start idolizing death. You start feeling like people who are dead are way better off. You start getting into dark music that is praising death, movies that is like you are really
death. Yes.
fixated on it.
Okay.
And then now that's where you start having those ideas of I can do this, I can do that. It doesn't really, it feels like it's just like a thought peer, but you're having ways, you're having
You're
ideas.
considering different.
Yes, to actually do it. And that stage can also last years.
Okay.
You know? And people say these two stages, something can be done.
Yes.
About it. And then now from there, we get to execution stage.
Okay.
Most professionals call it autopilot stage. And autopilot from the term autopilot. Whereby it's, plane in agendesha.
Free flow.
Yes, as a human being, you have three consciouses. Conscious, unconscious, subconscious.
Subconscious, yes.
Subconscious is what controls your blinking, what controls your yawning.
Those involuntary.
Yes, involuntary
action.
urges. Yes. So what happens in this stage is you've entertained that thought for so long that the thought has sunk into your subconscious.
Okay.
So now technically you're not in control of it. And most of the time, the letters that people leave behind and everything, those letters are normally prepared during the planning stage.
Okay.
Inaweza kuwa tu mtu aliandika tu ka text or something akasave.
Yes.
So during this stage, you've heard of something called a 72-hour suicide watch.
Yes.
72-hour suicide watch is whereby you are literally on watch for 3 days.
Yes.
There's someone
with you.
You know?
Yes.
And that's what the other time I was saying. With certain suicidal ideations, certain therapy approaches cannot work. Like online would not work. You need hospitalization for that purpose. So they say that because in this stage, you're normally given 48 hours for someone to actually accomplish or see it through.
Okay.
So now the 48 window, so if with the 72 window, it surpasses the 48. So
48,
you're on the safe. And the reason as to why this execution stage is normally critical is because even as professionals, it's hard for us to know.
Yes.
Why? Because it mimics healing.
Oh,
and that's why you see most people utasikia mtu akisema by the way so and so ali take his own life, alikuwa fiti tulienda out eventually, because what happens,
you go back to doing normal things.
During this planning and ideation stage, there's a phase of depression.
Yes.
Whereby you're not interested in things that you used to like. You don't get out of the house again. Isolation. Umejifungia tu. And then all of a sudden, this time, umeamka, you've showered, you're happy, you're the life of the party. When do unauliza wase wako happy, when they, turn up and everything. And then now people are like, oh my God, we didn't know what happened. Alikuwa naka, amepona. And that's why it's a very critical stage, because it mimics healing. And now what happens is, if you've had a friend that has been suicidal and everything, and then all of a sudden ako bubbly and everything, don't leave their side for at least 3 days.
Yes.
Just to be sure, Yep. And I feel like once you understand that, it's very important. And again, when we talk about also the risk factors, did you know suicidal ideations are genetic? Kind of like cancer, kind of like diabetes and everything. Literally all mental health conditions are genetic. Even how you handle stress.
Yes.
If you can't manage stress, high chances in your family lineage, they don't handle stress.
Okay.
Yes. And understanding your family history becomes very important, especially when it comes to mental health. It becomes important. Sorry.
It's okay. And I get where you're coming from. Because also, I think in my little research, I've come to understand that also, because of the way our bodies are and the chemical composition of our bodies. So most of these mental health issues are like a shift in the chemical composition of
Agreed. So, and that's what you'll find mostly in the village. You'll hear people say, your familia yote ni ya watu wa kujua. Or if you want to get married, you hear, usiende kwa your familia. Kila mtu kwa majority of the people have gone
through.
So it's very important to understand that it is genetic in a way that you are predisposed to it.
To it, yes.
So the only reason you know this is when it comes to mental health, I normally like people understanding 3 terms when it comes to mental health.
Yes.
Mental health itself, mental illness, and mental wellness.
Okay.
Those are 3 different terms that most people interchange. Most
Please
people
elaborate.
take mental illness and mental health as one thing.
Okay.
Mental health ni afya ya akili.
Mm.
Though you can have physical health. So it
Yes.
doesn't necessarily mean you don't have
It's good
health.
or bad, yes.
It just means if you work out, if you're a gym freak now like you,
Yes.
your physical health and my physical health will be very different because there's certain things you're doing to enable your physical health.
Yes.
So when it comes to mental health, we all have mental health.
Yes.
So it only varies from what we do.
Yes.
And now this is where mental wellness comes in.
Okay.
So mental wellness ni kama workouts.
Yes.
Unafanya za, your diet and everything
And
on physical health. So when it comes to mental wellness, there are certain practices that you're doing to sustain or feed your mental health. Mindful and exercises, gratitude journals, all those. Those are
diet as well.
Yes. Exercise as well. So all those things you're doing to help your mental health.
Yes.
So you've realized, so the mental wellness is the aspect of practicing good mental health. And then now we have the mental illness, which most people consider as mental health.
Okay.
Which mental illness is now the conditions or disorders that are associated with your, mind. Mental state. And also, you also need to understand, and I'm only bringing this up so that people can also understand. When it comes to also mental health, there are 2 terms you must understand.
Yes.
The brain and the mind.
Okay.
Those are 2 very different things.
I'm assuming the brain is the organ.
Yes, the brain is the organ.
Yes.
Now, the mind is what controls your thoughts, your behaviors, your feelings, and all that.
Okay.
So you can have a brain condition, let's say a neurological condition, but it doesn't necessarily equate to a mental illness.
Okay. Yes.
So something, I'll give an example, autism.
Yeah.
Autism is not a mental illness. It's a brain condition.
It's a brain condition.
A neurological condition.
Yes.
Seizures.
Yes.
All those things.
Epileptic seizures and the
those
likes.
are,
neurological.
Not. So when you understand this and you understand that the mind is what now controls your thoughts, the cognitive triangle, your thoughts, your feelings, your behavior, then it means you need to pay more attention on that aspect of things.
Yes.
I hope I didn't digress too much.
No, not at all.
Yes, so when you understand these concepts, then it also becomes easier for you to know if I'm predisposed to this thing.
Yes.
If my family has a history to it, then it means I need to practice more of mental wellness.
I need to be
to
more
build
mindful.
up to build up my mental health resilience.
Okay.
In case, because again, you need to understand in life, and then I also tell my clients this, hakuna time life itakuwa smooth throughout.
For sure.
Life will always come with its ups and downs.
Yes.
And the only difference between us and anyone else that struggles with their mental health is just the mental wellness aspect of things.
Yes.
What are your practices? And that's why you hear, I constantly advise people to come up with a toolbox. The way you have a toolbox for your car and everything, come up with a toolbox for your mental health.
Yes.
Different toolbox. If I'm depressed, this is what works for me. If I have anxiety, this is what works for me. If I'm going through a small stress or active stress or whatever, then this is what works for me. So once you come up with all this, then you are literally preparing yourself for a rainy day. And I like what you said about how people come through for you and everything, because one of the misconceptions that we have when it comes to suicidal ideations is if I ask someone if they're suicidal, then immediately they're going to act on it. But that's not it. I normally say it depends with how you're asking. When it comes to therapy, there's something called psychological first aid, and the first thing you ever need to understand when it comes to this is empathy. Treat it as if I was going through a similar thing. What would I want to hear from someone? Okay. So even when you're asking someone, are you suicidal? You're not asking it in a way that you're trying to attack them. You're asking it in a way that they can feel safe enough to open up. So there's nothing wrong with asking someone if they're suicidal.
And I like that you brought that out. But also just to go a little bit extra is also as an individual is to identify ways that you can come through for yourself. Because for me, that is what has really seen me through this journey to a place where I no longer even struggle with those kind of thoughts. where now I had to now come to a place of also understanding myself, sitting down with myself and understanding what is it that will lead me to that extreme? What pushed me to that edge? So that the moment I start to see the signs, then I can also now just do a quick check back and now begin to address that. Begin to now find the help I need, should I need it, or begin to now respond actively in a way or in a manner that will now steer me back on course. So it's also necessary for us to go on a self-awareness journey, which I think a lot of people also try to avoid, where you're not really willing to confront, those dark spaces within ourselves. We're not willing to open yourself up, even to yourself. So I remember before, it used to even be very difficult for me to sit with myself and enjoy my own company. Because now I'll go on this trip of overthinking, on this rabbit hole. But over time, I've been able to also now learn to just appreciate myself, to get to know myself, to get to address whatever issues I may have been having, whatever insecurities I was battling.
Agreed.
So I'm able to also come to a place of wholeness. If you need to go on a personal journey, if you need to go on a spiritual journey as well, if you need that wholesomeness, that uplifting, then do whatever is necessary to actually now find the help you need. It's basically like going, for those who watch motorsports. These guys will always be very aware of the condition of their vehicles. So whenever they feel something begins to go off or something is fishy, they will always do a quick pit stop. So for us as well, similar thing. Always identify those things, those personal red flags, and do a quick pit stop. Do whatever you need to do to sort it out. Because when you're able to deal with it early, when you're able to now start addressing it, then it's easier than now having to deal with the entire problem.
Agreed. And again, when we talk about self-awareness,
yes,
there's something that people really need to understand. I know you've met people that say, this is just who I am. So my mentor says, when it comes to self-awareness, self-awareness is like 30% of the work.
Yes.
So you can be self-aware, but you're not willing to change.
You're not willing to change.
So 70% is the willingness and the intentionality of acting upon what you've discovered.
Yes.
Because again, it's so easy for you to know, I struggle with this and that.
Yes.
And you hear, ikifika place, when shit hits the fan, you're like, okay, this is just who I am.
Yeah.
Even though mimi niko. So you are self-aware, yes, but you're not willing to act upon it. You don't have the intentionality to change or, So as much as we're preaching self-awareness, I feel like that intentionality. To act upon it, to make changes, to see, yes, accountability. This is what I'm doing wrong. I can change here. I can improve on this. This is what pushes me. This is what triggers me. Then it means I need to counter it this way. For instance, the way you're saying overthinking, those are cognitive distortions.
Yes.
And they're different. Kuna mseta overthink, kuna mseta personalized situation whereby everything is about them. Even mtu amekuja tu amejam, like, did I do something wrong? Yeah. And it has nothing to do with you. So when you understand those cognitive distortions, those negative thinking patterns and everything, then it means you need to restructure your thoughts.
Yes.
And that's why we have a whole therapy called cognitive restructuring.
Yes.
Helping you. As a human being, I don't know if you've noticed this, we are wired to focus more on the negative.
Yes.
As you cook, I also cook. If you've made a really nice meal, and then people are like, oh my God, this food is really nice, but umeka mafuta kidogo nyingi, ama umeongeza chumvi,
chumvi ilizidi kidogo.
You will forget about how amazing that food was, and fixate on how salt
The
was
salt
a
was
lot.
too much, yes.
Let me give you an example. I don't know if they're watching this, they'll pick it up. On Sunday, we had a cookout with a few friends of ours.
Okay.
We were...
Sibiu Sasa?
Sibiu. Your group really talk. I left even before they finished changaing.
Yeah.
So when we were cooking, we got there late. So for me, I knew cookout, ndapata food imepikwa and everything. So I get there, I find food is not yet ready. So it meant we needed to help. And if it's a cooking thing, I love cooking. I'm good at it. I'll help out. So I decided, let me help out. So we were making biryani. So you know the whole process. That you
owe me from 4 years back.
Oh my goodness.
No, it's not 4 years. It's more than 4 years. Sorry. Actually, it's more than 4 years, Nassim. It's fine.
I promise I will make him biryani very soon.
Thank you.
Anyway, so so you know the process. You first of all start by deep frying the onions and everything. We were using makaa.
Okay.
So when I was deep frying these onions, you know they need to get golden brown and everything. But at the same time, exit a certain
there's
that
balance.
Yes. It will make the whole biryani kali and everything. So when I was deep frying this, makaa yangu zima. So it meant we needed to add more makaa, like fire and everything.
Fire, yes.
But it hadn't really turned golden brown. So I had to put the pot aside. Yes, and then we add, and then now you know ukisheka chini na mafuta
bado iko na joto.
So nilitoa kwa mafuta nikaeka kwa kadish. So hata ningerudisha kwa jiko it wouldn't have helped because sasa isha So I decided I'll just deep fry the warus and start the process and just use the onions just the way they are. And then someone from Uko inside comes out. This cookout was full of Swahili people.
Oh dear, okay.
And so someone came.
I'm already feeling pressure.
Yes. So someone came. And then they asked, "Ay, nani kachoma vitungu?" So I'm like, okay. I didn't say anything. I was like, mbona kachoma hivyo? So they started a whole discussion around the vitungu. So I'm trying to explain to them, it's not me, it's the jiko.
It's a jiko, yes.
And again, honestly, to be honest, I know people will throw stones at me. The vitungus, hata zikuwa venye zilikuwa, the biryani still slapped. You know, it would still... Do you know, I'm short-tempered. I'm a typical Meru babe.
Hey, we said no stereotypes on this show.
Maybe I am a typical one. So what I did is, I stood up and I went and sat mbali pembeni kwenye other people that are waiting for the food to iva. And I sat down. I was like, you know what? Now let them cook.
Yeah. Because the professionals are in the building.
Yes. So it made me get so personal and everything. So that's what I'm saying. We focus as human beings, we focus so much on the negative. Yeah. So I stayed away. They tried to do whatever they did. Hata wakafanya waru wakachoma excess. But the food was really nice.
Yes.
So there was one neutral person. She was really trying to, make things
balance
so
the situation.
Yes, so they kept on asking questions and everything, and I was answering with attitude. I was just because
why are you the drama? Why are you the drama?
Oh, that day I was the drama. So
please,
I focused so much on that comment here. Mbona akachoma hivyo? Yo,
I can hear it in your voice.
Yo,
unabati siwezi Kiswahili si mdomo changu. Otherwise,
so I left it. So I was like, you know what, fuck it. Nipikeni venye mnataka kupika. But anyway, the food went really well, the cookout went well and everything. So I'm trying to tell you, as human beings, we always focus on the negative. So when it comes to cognitive restructuring, it's all about reeling back in, balancing the negative thought with a positive thought.
Yes.
So I feel like people, when you're talking about the way you're saying, I know I overthink and everything, then start looking into ways, how can I restructure my negative thoughts? How can I think more healthy? And the constant example I normally give is, imagine umeingia kwa mat with your white canvas, white sneakers, kunanyesha, and then someone comes and steps on you. So I give people two examples.
Kwanza hata kabla apologize. Mimi tu kama mimi. Apologize.
See, maybe let's say I apologize. The first thing will be, person A will be like, oh my God, umsa ni respect. Na utaanza kurusha maneno.
I used to be person A.
And then person B will be like, oh my God, maybe when kajaga bahati mbaya, they didn't see me, and you'll be neutral.
And besides,
and it won't bother your whole day.
The weather,
person A, the whole day utakunambia mtu, imagine kiki fala kilini kanyaga kwa mate and everything. It will ruin your whole day. But person B will be like, you know what, it was by mistake, it's okay. And
you actually have a much better day. You have a much, let me tell you, if I compare how I process and rationalize things now compared to before, because before I would be person A, bro, me kwanza I'd be like, shidako ni gani? And sometimes there are people who, they may be going through their own thing and they won't apologize. So that'll even, itanichemsha hata zaidi. Itakuwa hiyo jiko yako ya makaa kuongeza sasa.
I know.
Yeah?
So,
and the whole day, I'll just be fixated on that. No one say ameenda zake.
Hata focus hata najua. Hata kumbuka alikajana.
Ameenda, he's moved on.
So I feel like if you know you overthink a lot, then you need to learn how to restructure your thoughts into healthy thoughts.
Yes.
Think positive thoughts and everything. So having a toolbox goes a very long way into helping such situations. Knowing what triggers you and everything also helps, you know.
Yeah, and I believe also, so it all goes back to you doing the personal work and having a system of accountability. Like for me now, currently what I've found to also be very beneficial is, because there are times when, yes, I find myself wanting to slip back into that. Mm-hmm. But I have a friend who will be like, hey, no, we don't do that anymore. We are no longer there. So immediately it wakes me up to remembering, yes, I am on this active journey. I am on a journey to being better. So I will again now reinforce the good habits or the good actions that I have been practicing to get out of this space. Yeah, and it's been very helpful for me.
And also, there's also another thing that people really need to understand. As much as you're trying to be proactive and everything, I tell my clients, learn how to respect your body and how you're feeling.
Yes.
You know? So there's nothing wrong with taking a mental health day off. There's nothing wrong with you staying in bed a whole day.
Yes.
As long as you don't make it a habit.
A habit.
We talk about disorders. There's a line. There's always a curve.
Yes.
Something becomes abnormal when it starts interfering with your day-to-day.
Okay.
So for instance, I've realized today I won't be able to go to work. I'm having so much stress and everything. I just want a mental health day. So I'll stay in the house, sleeping, snacking, and everything.
Yes.
But that shouldn't be a habit.
A habit.
I shouldn't do the same tomorrow and the day after and the day after without recovering.
Yes.
You know. So if I decide to take a day off today,
yes.
a mental health day, be in bed the whole day, it means the next day I need to find a way to account for
the day
lost.
that I've missed. Yes.
You know, if it was assignments, if it was this and that, I need to figure out how I need to handle that. But for this day, it's my mental health day off. And
I like that you've said, listen to your body. Because also sometimes we can be too hard on ourselves.
Agreed.
We're human beings, you know, we are multidimensional. And there's the emotional aspect of us. So even given that example that you presented, it's okay to get upset. It's fine. You know, you left the house, you were feeling yourself, you know, you're feeling very pang at that point.
Hey, you know, nice.
It's fine. You can feel upset. Anger is a natural response. You can be upset, but don't brood on it. Don't now build a whole you've now built a settlement around that anger. Then now that becomes a problem. Go through it, go through the emotions, feel it, let it go through you, and then expel it and move on. Give yourself that opportunity now to also experience also other feelings, other emotions through the day. Because you can't tell me that now because you had that one bad experience, now every other thing is bad. Unless you have now attracted that feeling where you've put yourself in that fixation around that anger such that you will not even notice the good things that are happening. You will not notice the small miracles
Agreed.
that are happening around you.
Actually, that day ended up having a very nice day.
Yes.
It was, we should do more cookouts. So and I normally tell people they need to also understand something. Every emotion that you have is an energy.
Yes.
There's a physical aspect of emotions.
Yes.
And there's a psychological aspect of the emotion.
Yes.
I'll give an example. And that's why when I'm walking someone through awareness and all that, I normally like doing a body scan. You understanding how your emotions are presented in your body. For instance, let me give an example with kawaida things. Let's say anxiety. There's some people that anxiety itakuwa too psychological.
Yes.
They feel anxious and everything, and they won't present the physical symptoms of anxiety.
Yes.
They won't feel like their stomach has knots in it.
Yes.
They won't feel like they're
that's
not
crippling feeling.
Yes, they won't feel like they're not able to breathe and everything. They won't feel like they need to punch something. Their voice won't get husky or shaky and everything. Kuna huyo. Na kuna mwingine mwenye atafeel they can't breathe. They have the knots and everything. So this helps so that when you're coming up with coping mechanisms, every time I get anxious, I feel like I can't breathe.
Yes.
The first thing I need to do is calm myself and do a deep breath exercise.
Yes.
If it's just psychological, then I need to focus more on the restructuring my thoughts and everything. So even when you're looking into all this, figure out how are these feelings or emotions presenting on my body.
Okay.
Where am I feeling it? Kitu naisikilia wapi? And it can also help you tell a lot in regards to how intense this situation is or how not intense it is. So when it comes to coping mechanisms, understanding yourself helps a lot into planning the whole toolbox and knowing what goes into my toolbox and for what reason and for what purpose.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I like how we are presenting this. And oftentimes the journey to somewhere is often more beautiful as if you actually just involve yourself in it than even the destination. So even as we're on this podcast journey, please join us by subscribing. If this content is beneficial to you, just click subscribe. You can share it with your friends, people you feel this would impact. You can comment. Yes, we'll respond to all your comments. So on today's dilemma, I think today has been such a heavy day. It becomes very difficult to even do a dilemma.
I feel like before we even get to a dilemma,
Yes.
can we do a did you know?
Let's do a did you know, please.
I'd like to do a did you know in relation to our topic today.
Okay.
So you said it's not like a nice did you, I don't even know why I made my face lit up when I said did you know.
Okay.
But did you know in most countries, first of all, suicide is, a crime. Death by suicide is a crime.
Or even attempted.
Yes, or attempted. Sorry, attempted suicide is a crime. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. And did you know certain communities, if someone died by suicide, they never got a dignified burial.
Send-off.
Yes, send-off.
Okay.
Some, the priest would not officiate either the priest or the imams or the clergies or whatever, they would not officiate the burial. And others would throw stones. I've forgotten what culture that is, but they'd throw stones.
Like,
Yes.
So they would still shame you in your death.
Imagine. And I feel like you said, on the spirit of changing the narrative, it's about time we started doing away with certain societal norms that don't serve us.
Yes. I believe they're more healthy and wholesome ways to address certain issues. Because I understand the premise from which this is coming from. I understand, the foundation behind this is them shunning suicide. And it's from a fear.
Cannot.
Yeah, I think it's from a place of one, fear, and two, misunderstanding. Because there's the nobility of it, of you wanting someone to find a more healthy and more respectable approach or solution as opposed to suicide. But I think also in how we deal with it or in how we handle the case, then we can also find healthier ways to actually address the same.
I've always constantly believed that people fear what they don't understand.
Yes.
If people understood the whole approach to suicide, what happens and everything, and I feel like they would be more gracious and merciful to whoever has gone by suicide. I agree. It feels like, you're doing something wrong and everything, but if they understood that this person literally fought till the end, then I feel like they would be more merciful. So I feel it's about time people sensitizing the whole topic
and learns to extend some grace.
Yes, people understood, familiarized themselves with what leads to suicide. What is suicide? What happens, in
what's
someone?
Going through someone's
what's
mind.
going, like, how can we as a society help? How can we as a society be there for our young generation, our old generation, our people? How can we be there for them in a way that they feel we're offering a safe space? Because all we need to do is have more safe spaces out there without that shame. Because at a sai, most of the time people don't open up about suicide because watakuwa ashamed. There's this thing, he anajaribu attention seeking, and everything. Fine, inaweza kuwa ni attention seeking. I normally tell people, anyone that comes to you with suicidal ideation, even if they've done it 100 times and you feel like it's attention seeking, take it with the uttermost
urgency and seriousness
it requires. They can even say it while smiling.
Yeah.
Because I even realized, even some of my clients, they say, I want to say something, but I'm scared to take it. But I take everything, especially when it comes to suicidal ideations. Yes. You might come and tell me while laughing, but immediately after that, I'll tell you, let's unpack. Let's talk more about that. So I feel like we need to do more of that and offer safe spaces. Yes.
Yeah. So I guess in conclusion, then it's just a matter of us being more mindful. I know this word has been thrown around a lot, but now genuinely being more mindful of each other, being more mindful of ourselves. And yeah, just as you've said, even if someone has said it 100 times and you think it's attention seeking, it'll be like, the boy who cried wolf.
Yes.
Yeah. Where they might just get to that tipping point.
And you're like, I should have.
And yeah. So let's just look out for ourselves. Let's also get actively on the journey of not just self-awareness, but healing as well. And let's be our brother's keepers. We live in a society where we depend on each other. So in that dependence, take care of your next man.
Be your brother's keeper.
Be your brother's keeper. Much love from this end. See ya.
Bye.